this video, I'm gonna share with you what are the subconscious bottlenecks that are holding you back from scaling and getting to that next level in your business. Now, what the heck do I know about this and why would you listen to me? Well, currently I run a multiple seven-figure hypnosis training and hypnosis therapy business where I have a team of hypnotherapists operating, working with people one-on-one. We train and certify people in hypnosis. And not that long ago, it was just me as a solopreneur going through the different levels. And so I've experienced at each one of these different levels, from being by myself to hiring my first person, hiring a small team, and now having a large team, and even going beyond that, what are the subconscious beliefs and bottlenecks that may be holding you back? So whether you're a beginner or you're somebody who's seasoned running a multiple 6 or 7-figure business, this video is going to be extremely helpful to help you start to identify what are some of those blocks that may be holding you back and how do we remove them so you can break through those glass ceilings and go to the next level. So let's dive in. So the first subconscious bottleneck is identity compression. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, essentially, your old identity has not caught up with your new reality. And when we often experience a new reality, whether it's getting a different level of clients, getting more clients, hiring people within our business, we have certain subconscious beliefs that are keeping us in the old identity, which can lead to procrastination, self-sabotage, and other behaviors that are going to keep you stuck at those glass ceilings. Now, what often happens is we try to outwork this old identity, but deep down inside, we feel out of alignment. You know, some people may call it imposter syndrome, right? And I see this a lot with coaches and trainers when they go to hire people or raise their prices or shift who they're going to be working with. They really struggle because, again, their identity feels compressed. Okay, number 2 is you are linking success to negativity. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, you may be thinking to yourself, well, hey, if I shift into working with a higher level client or I raise my prices, that my old clients are going to judge me. You may be thinking to yourself, hey, if I hire these new people within my business, I don't really know how to lead, how to manage, how to train, and this is going to create more work for me, so let me just stay small. Or you may be thinking to yourself, man, if I really want to grow, I've got to put myself out there. And I'm afraid that when I put myself out there, whether it be on running advertisements or social media or whatever the case may be, that you're going to get judged. And so when we start linking higher levels of success to negativity, we will then self-sabotage, procrastinate, experience non-confronts that will keep us in that cycle of the old identity and playing small. Okay, number 3 is you have nervous system capacity limits. I often will hear from clients, whether they're clients that we work with one-on-one or even clients that go through our training and certification, is at one point they went to expand, right? They went to grow. Maybe they hired somebody, they went out and purchased a building or did something to expand their business, and it didn't work out for them. And then what they will do is they will justify why they're staying small. They'll say things like, well, you know, I just tried that whole social media thing and it didn't work out for me. Or, you know, I really don't want to scale my business. I just want to keep it kind of small because, you know, scaling just comes with all these problems. So what happens is their ability to handle that next level of stress, their nervous system hasn't caught up to it yet. And when your nervous system feels that threat and it doesn't feel safe, it will lead to that subconscious self-sabotage, which will keep you stuck. And then again, we will justify us staying small by using logic and saying again, oh, well, that stuff just doesn't work, or it's too much, or, you know, scaling really isn't for me. So we really got to do a deep dive into what those belief systems are, get your nervous system adapted to this new level of success, and then you'll start breaking through those invisible ceilings. And number 4 is you have control-based safety strategies. Well, you know, myself, when it was just me as a solopreneur, I wanted control of everything, right? You may even have said to yourself, nobody does it as good as me. As a matter of fact, if you've ever said that to yourself, nobody does it as good as me, comment down below and like this video because I know most of us has been there before. So what happens is whenever we want to have control over everything, it actually limits our capacity to scale and to grow. Because we want to micromanage or have our hands into every little thing, we begin to limit our time and also our energy to be able to put them into the things that are going to leverage and help us break through to that next level. So again, when I see people at this level, they have difficulty delegating, they're constantly micromanaging, they have trust issues with bringing on employees, and they tend to overthink things, and again, keep small by doing everything themselves. Now again, these all go back to subconscious belief systems that we've had adopted throughout our lifetime, right? From our childhood all the way up to now. And as long as you operate from those old belief systems, you'll never fully be able to relinquish control and break through to those higher levels of success. And you'd be surprised. It can come down to something very, very simple and small that happened to you during your upbringing that made you believe, I can't trust people, or nobody does it as good as me, or people are out to get you, whatever the case may be. I'll give you a little side note here. This is something that completely shifted my paradigm around trust and control. This is actually, if you listen to this, when you pay attention to this and you understand what I'm about to tell you, this can make you feel in so much more control, actual control, rather than the illusion of control. And here's what it is. I remember years ago I was watching this old series called Breaking Bad, okay? For those of you who may have watched Breaking Bad, hit that like button so I know who you are. And in this movie, Breaking Bad, it's essentially a gentleman who's a teacher who turns into a drug dealer, and him and his old student become business partners. So there's this scene where essentially we have the teacher that's a drug dealer and his student, and they're running a drug business. And there's a DEA agent that wants to basically, he's a kind of a crooked cop or something like this, and he wants to get in on the business. So this DEA guy or the police guy tells the teacher, who's a drug dealer, he says, hey, if I want full control over the business. And the teacher says, okay, you can have control of the business, you're in charge, you run the whole business. So then the police officer leaves, and then the teacher and his student, that they're drug business partners now, well, his student is upset with them. He said, hey man, why did you just give him all the control of the business? This and this and that. He's really pissed. And the teacher said something I'll never forget. He said, he can control the business and I'll control him. My mind was blown in that moment. Essentially, when you try to control everything, you have the least amount of control. So what you do is you actually, by relinquishing control, it gives you more control over yourself so that you can have the time and energy and capacity to expand. Okay, and last but not least is you have conditional self-worth. So what does this mean? Well, you may, and I know I've been there before, you may feel worthy when you work really, really hard. That's how you make yourself feel like you are enough. And if you slow down a little bit so you can maybe build out systems and processes and bring on people or whatever the case may be, you feel like you're not worthy and that you don't deserve success. And often that leads to guilt when you're resting. And here's the thing, I don't care who you are, we all need rest, we all need to recover, we all need to take a reset and relax so that we can come back and be even better. But often what I find is that entrepreneurs are constantly running themselves dry and running themselves thin because they tie their self-worth to their work ethic, to the hustle mindset, to the grind. Now, I'm all about hard work, I'm all about doing this. We have to do it strategically and do it in the right way, because if not, it's gonna lead to burnout and it's gonna keep you stuck in that old identity. Another thing with the conditional self-worth is you may have trouble and challenges celebrating your success. I know I've struggled with that. It's like once you hit a certain level, it's just on to the next thing, which I understand that mindset. It's like, okay, we did it, got it, let's move on. At the same time though, when you do this and you don't celebrate the milestones, what happens is the subconscious mind begins to get worn out. And it begins to think to yourself internally, man, I just did all of this and I don't get a reward. Well, what's the point of even doing it next time, right? So think of, if you had a child and you had them do all these chores and all these other things, and you didn't reward them, you didn't give them any type of celebration, whether it's, hey, we're gonna go to get ice cream, we're gonna go to the park or whatever, and you just work them to death without celebrating their wins and success, eventually they're gonna get tired, they're gonna stop listening to you. So this is what a lot of people do, is they don't celebrate those milestones, celebrate those wins, and then they start to feel that self-sabotage kick in. And then lastly is chronic internal pressure. And again, this comes as you start to scale, you start to grow, you hit these invisible ceilings, and then you feel this internal misalignment that is keeping you stuck in this sort of perpetual cycle of pressure. And again, I've definitely been there before, and this is why one of the fastest ways to remove the pressure is by diving into your subconscious beliefs and figure out what is holding you back. As a matter of fact, if you're constantly feeling that internal pressure, think of it like the check engine light in your car. Your body, your nervous system is sending you a signal saying, hey, something is wrong here. We need to dive deeper into what's causing this. And just like if your car was messed up, you take it in to get worked on and tuned up, we got to do the same thing with ourselves. Because if you ignore that pressure and you just keep working and keep working, just like if you ignored the signs in your car that need to be fixed, eventually your car is going to break down, and eventually we break down as well. So listen, my team and I are providing a free hypnosis assessment where we do a deep dive to figure out what are some of these beliefs that are keeping you stuck in these patterns, right? That are keeping you in the old identity, keeping you from breaking through and scaling so that you can take your life and your business to the next level. So if that's you, click the link down in the description and book your free hypnosis assessment now.